One of my coming out experience was during my school time in uni in the class of abnormal psychology in my psychology degree. I was giving a presentation about LGBT and homosexuality. I remember sharing the homosexuality in the Chinese context culture, the banning of homosexuality as a mental health illness by WHO in 1990, and also my experience having participated for my first Pride Parade in Taipei, Taiwan. In the end of my sharing, I came out as a gay person in front of almost 80 students and my teacher. It was a great outcome that I urge all of my students and friends to please stand up and fight and support our LGBT friends and families.
I first shared this story publicly during the coming out day back in October last year. And the story is about the first people that I came out to were my traditional and Christian parents about 20 years ago. You can imagine how it went. Of course, it turned out to be a quite unpleasant and involuntary event. If I remember it correctly, I noticed myself having feelings for girls since I was 8 and started dating my first official girlfriend at the age of 13. My parents found out and it turned out to be a family issue that they started to blame genetic, my friends, or even the school that I went to at that moment. And since then, I spent 20 years constantly coming out and educating them about my sexual orientation as well as the LGBTQ community. Today, they're happy for me and my fiance for our engagement, but they still not fully understand the why that I became a lesbian. Actually, there's no why, but they became an advocate among their friends and starting to educate other parents by sharing their experiences as how to support your child if they're part of the LGBTQ community. And they don't have to understand the reason why I'm a lesbian, but they respect that, and I think that means the world to me.
Coming out, or the experience we go through each time we talk about our life, about being LGBT+, is not a one-time exercise. It happens all the time, and so does the mental load that comes with it. I came out to my parents, my siblings, my relatives, my classmates back in college, my teammates on my first job, my manager on the second, my different doctors, my landlady, even sometimes to an engaging Grab driver. It happens all the time, and each time, no matter how I am or how out I am, there are concerns about how it will be received.
So I came out while in university, but it was a long process. I had all these ideas about what being gay meant and restrictions that it would place on my life. For example, I knew I wanted to live and work abroad, but I was so worried that being gay would jeopardize that. But as it turns out, that's exactly what I'm doing now. So it goes to show you that the only thing standing in my way at that point was acceptance. And once I was able to accept myself, I was able to achieve my goals.
Personally, I do not believe in coming out. I do not resonate with this idea of coming out. Is because why community has this burden of coming out always. Why not straight people can ever come out that they're straight? Why this burden is on community all the time? But having said that, my coming out has been very, not very pleasant I would say, but still less dreadful to what others have gone through. I am privileged in that terms for sure. My family accepts me the way I am. My family love me, howsoever, whatsoever I am. So hopefully the same will happen with you too.
Being an Asian who live in, Asian country, I do experience a bit obstacles, and since being LGBTQ member, challenge some of the traditional values but it doesn't stop me from doing the right thing, for being an advocate for the LGBTQ community. And I'm really indeed very lucky to be able to support the LGBTQ members, be able to volunteers in some of the LGBTQ event, for example, Gay Game. So yeah, that's my coming out story.
My coming out experiences spread across a number of years, and like a lot of people, I started coming out to myself, accepting who I am and taking responsibility of my own life before I came out to people whom I trusted, my families, my friends. I'm lucky in that most of my families and friends have been very supportive. I'm also lucky to work in a company that promotes being authentic self. So I'm all out at work. I know that many people are not as lucky as who I am.
I don't know if I ever went with the process of coming out, because I think I always knew who I am. Like, my gender expression was very clear, and I was very clear how do I identify myself from the time I know. It was just that I need to inform the outer world, my family, about my identity. And I think it was quite visible, right? It was quite visible there. But there was a time when I had to inform my family that yes, this is who I am, this is what I like to do, and this is how I like to present myself to the outer world. I was named Shankar when I was, born. It's a male name, but definitely Shankar very easily transitioned into Shankari, and now most of people call me Shankari and people know me as Shankari. So I think my coming out process was very organic and very natural for myself as well as and for my family, my friends and my near ones.
My advice for someone who's thinking about coming out or struggling to come out is that it's not going to be an overnight thing. It rarely is. I think I must have come out, I find myself now coming out over and over and over again, and I think I must have come out over 100 times. But think of it just like going to the gym. Like, no one goes to the gym once and stay fit forever. It's going to be an ongoing process. There's going to be a lot of times where you probably have to talk about this over and over again. But that's okay, because it's part of you and you should be proud of it.
Don't feel like you have to come out at any particular time, situation, or moment. That is your right. You can choose to do so or you can choose not to do so. I technically haven't, but that's up to you. You should feel comfortable being able to do so. And when you do, from what I've heard, especially with Asian households, it can be a bit bad sometimes. My grandma didn't take it well in the beginning, but after time she was a bit more open and welcoming. So it can happen, but you do feel a lot better. You do feel more open. You do feel safer bringing your whole self to work, and you don't have to worry about having disguise and just spending energy pretending to be someone you're not. So it does feel very liberating, very open once you are in a safe position where you can come out.
It's a tough one because if your family and friends are rejecting you, that's a really hard thing to do. And as a straight person, I can only imagine how hard that would be, that you're going to be potentially rejected. But for them to know that there's a whole load of people out in the community that are there to support them. And I guess ultimately choosing to not live an authentic life is going to be way more damaging for them in the long run than not being, comfortable to come out and be accepted for who they are.
You are perfect just the way you are. Some people are tall, some people are short, some are sporty, some are funny, and some are queer. It's all valuable. We can't wait to celebrate you.
Number one, do not take advice or get carried away. If someone has come out in their family, do not get influenced or carried away by that. Every life is a thesis in itself. Look for the right opportunity. Look for it. And while doing that, consider two things specifically: financial stability and emotional stability. Emotional stability in the sense that might be a day, that might be the last day of your life that you are seeing your parents So be emotionally prepared for that. And second, financially prepared for the scenarios to support yourself, to love yourself like you have been doing always. So do not get carried away by others. See your emotional and financial stability is what I will advise for coming out.
Your struggles are real. It is okay to not come out when you are not comfortable. And even if you feel you are not accepted, could you please help yourself to embrace and accept yourself? That you have the ability to love yourself, but stop gaslighting towards yourself. Try more self-affirmation and self-love. When you are ready, you can start coming out to your friends and families around you. But first, be true to yourself and embrace and love yourself. You are worthy and loved.
So my first advice would be, we all only have one life to live. And do you want to live your life as yourself, or would you rather live your life as somebody else? My second advice would be, take your time, talk to yourself. There's really no hurry. From my experience, it's not as daunting as you might believe it would be. It may take some time for your family, your friends to accept who you are. But if they do love you, chances are that they would want you to be happy too.
Coming out itself is in a process which needs a lot of, gathering a lot of courage. And if somebody doesn't want to come out, I think it's up to them, it's their choice. But I definitely feel that we should come out and we should share our story, whether if it's of pain or pride or courage, we have to share them so that we are vocal about ourselves, we are vocal about who we are. I understand coming out for everyone is not easy. Their external circumstances may not be that conducive, but somewhere we need to find our foot, somewhere we need to find our voice and say with pride that this is who I am and this is how I want you all to accept me, right? So first the acceptance has to come within for that. So I would only advise, find a proper time, a proper situation, come out to your close friend first and then see how you want to process that and inform the outer world about who you are.
We are all in different parts of our journey to self-acceptance. Whether that means being out to people who are important to you, or you simply accepting that who you are is okay. Who you are can be loved, and that who you are is not either a mistake or, as some would call, a sin. Wherever you are in this journey, know that you have a community behind you, that there are spaces where you can be yourself, and they just need to be found wherever you are.